Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. Coming in hot today. I don't know about you, but I'm never going to do that mask thing again. All right? I hear people talking. There's whispers of people trying to reinstate the mandates and the masks and the lockdowns. I don't know about you, but I am ashamed of how much I complied last time. And I'm certainly not going to do it again. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, it's, just so coincidental, you know, an election's coming up, you know. So, I don't know about you, but, you know, throw champagne in my face once. Shame on you. Throw champagne in my face twice. Shame on me. It's America's simpler time. Anyway, I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired with that. So, anyway. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, The Bad Man. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Please go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word, on Cash App. You can follow me on social media over here at Denalitsaw, this word wasteland spelled backwards, on Twitter, Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook, and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. So, I want to tell you I made a new playlist on the YouTube channel. Somebody said, I don't really care about your opinion on news and your politics and stuff like that. But if you got like videos of you playing role-playing games with your friends, I'd love to watch that. And so I made a playlist called FXBG Pirate Gamers on the site. So check out the playlist section of my YouTube channel, and you can find a list of all the gaming things. And there was one of them, the last one of the series, the most recent, I should say, is me playing with Adebisi in Heroes Unlimited. Me and Adebisi role-playing. And, I saw... this past weekend, I went to a Frednats game, Fredericksburg Nationals game, single A team here in Fredericksburg. And, like, the next day, my boy Avery, who was playing with us in that game, he posted a pic of himself with Kate Flannery at that game. And she went there, she threw out the first pitch and did a meet and greet and stuff like that. But Avery posted a pic of her, in a selfie with her at the Frednats game. And I was like, damn, he was at that game too. And I didn't even see him, It kind of made me mad because, I would have liked to see my pal down there, talk with him a little bit, So I don't know, kind of bummed me out. But it was kind of interesting seeing somebody's celebrity. She was on The Office, a hit show, and her character was great. Kate Flannery down at the ballpark. And, and so I didn't go meet and greet her. I saw her throw out the first pitch, and when she was leaving, she walked, like, right in front of me. Like, as far as that camera is away from me right now, that's how close she was. And as I was watching her passing by, I was thinking, if she wasn't famous, she would fit right in Fredericksburg. She looks like a chick in Fredericksburg that you'd meet on, like, a Saturday night at, like, Buffalo Wild Wings, trying to get guys to buy her drinks. Doesn't she? She really does kind of fit the part. She looks like a hometown hero. And it's interesting when you see people that you've only known, like, on television or something like that. First of all, you realize, they're all smaller. They're all thinner. And me, I could tell the difference. When I get on camera, I know how big I actually am, and how big I am, on camera. But generally they're smaller than you think, thinner, shorter. It's kind of interesting because I don't know. It kind of puts things in perspective. It's like when you go to a major league baseball park. Speaking of baseball parks, you go to a major league baseball park. The only thing that's really bigger about it is the stands. And the concessions and all that extra stuff on the side. The playing area is still the same small ballpark, I think that's interesting. It's kind of like Congress. When you go to the Congress, you look in there and it's like, wow, it looks bigger on television, And I don't know. It's interesting when you interact with the real world as opposed to that fantasy world that happens on your screen in some distant, far away place. And the way you construct it in your mind is the way it's really constructed in reality. So I think that's interesting. Yeah. So I had fun at the ball game. Yeah. My niece wanted to go play on the playground, and that was interesting because you could take down that picture. I'm not talking about Kate anymore. Thanks for coming by, Kate. It's good to see a celebrity. I mean, I wouldn't go to meet and greet her. I mean, I couldn't think of a character that I really loved enough that I'd want to go stand in a line, and get a signature or a selfie with somebody. Not from The Office, anyway, Anyway, but
Spader?
No, I wouldn't. Not James Spader. No, oh. I mean, Rainn Wilson played my favorite character. All right, and Dwight Schrute. And if it were some other actor than Rainn Wilson, I would want to meet him. I would want to meet that actor. And unfortunately, Rainn Wilson, the actor, and Dwight Schrute, the character, two very different people. Very different. Dwight Schrute is likable to some small degree. Anyway. But my niece wanted to go down to the playground, so I said, oh, yeah, I'll watch her. And her and a friend wanted to go, oh, yeah, I'll watch them. It's no problem. And so I went down to they got this like big rope work, like jungle gym kind of thing down there, the Fred Nance Park, and the kids love it. It's always a bunch of kids over there doing stuff. And it's got this nice little like AstroTurf kind of thing with a spongy floor in case they fall. I mean, pretty safe little park, but I don't want anyone snatching my niece. So I'm gonna go stand by the park and watch her play for a while, and watch other kids play, and that's always fun because they won't allow you on those things. They really don't. In fact, there's a little sign there that has like a 45-degree angle. It's kind of a weird sign. Has like I don't know, maybe like 65-degree angles, but it's like at an angle so taller people, I guess, it's more directed towards them. And it says this jungle gym is for kids like up to 12 years of age. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah, you don't want 15-year-olds playing on that thing, or because they'll probably get stuck in the slide or something. Big as kids are these days. So. So, my niece is sitting there playing on the jungle gym and stuff like that. And, at the Fred Nance Park, they have the thing where you can throw the tennis balls onto the field at the end of the game and you pick, for a winner or something like that. And each tennis ball's got a number on it. Well, there's this kid who came up to the playground, this young boy, and he had a tennis ball. And so he started throwing the tennis ball against the sign that has the angle, and it would pop back, it'll arc back to him. And he just kept throwing it back and forth. And because I guess I'm a boy too, it caught my eye. I followed the bouncing ball back and forth as he's throwing it back and forth. And then it was weird. It was like this strange magical thing happened in every boy within eye shot of this, because boys started coming, they're like following the ball back and forth. Even adult men were walking by the playground and looking at that ball going back and forth. All right. And then you'd get like a bunch of like a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 2 7-year-olds are sitting there watching this ball go back and forth. All boys now. As this kid's just throwing it back and forth against the wall. They're not jumping up on the gym. They're not climbing the thing anymore. This new thing called throwing a ball against a wall is fascinating them. And I don't know why. There's even this group of teenagers, like 17-year-old boys coming by. And they see, there's like 3 of them. And they see this boy throwing the ball up against the sign, bouncing it back to himself. And so this one guy hangs back. This one 17-year-old hangs back as these other 2 go forward. They're looking back at him like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Come on. And then he timed it right. So when the ball started bouncing back, he jumped up and with his big 17-year-old long arms and snatched the tennis ball and just started running with it. and the kids there like, oh, come on, man. But he then ran back and gave it to him. I was just messing with you because he's also a boy who is captivated by the idea of a bouncing ball. You start to understand how a game like baseball gets invented. It probably began with somebody throwing a tennis ball against a garage door. You know what I mean? And so I found this incredibly fascinating thing that happened among the young boys over there at the ballpark. And, I just wish, I don't know. It's like when I was growing up as a kid, there'd be guys, plenty of days. You're out in your front yard. It's like you can't find anyone else outside to play baseball with. So you just throw the baseball or throw the tennis ball way up in the air and try to catch a pop fly, or throw the tennis ball up against the wall, try to get some accuracy, back up, get some further distance, try to get that accuracy, and just, you don't see many boys doing that these days, because it's not like they could throw the ball inside their house, and then you have your parents that won't ever let them out of the house, and it's like, even if they have a tennis ball and they're thrown up against the wall, it's like, imagine all the times my mother was in the kitchen, listened to the thunk, 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 and she never came out there and berated me. It's like, that's annoying, constantly throwing the ball up against the garage door, thunk, over and over again, So, I mean, I just found it so interesting that all these boys were captivated. Even like the 3-year-olds, just like trying to get it. He's trying to figure out the angle. It's like he's trying to catch the ball. He's trying to get the timing right. And he's trying to get the angle right. He just can't do it. And this older kid's just throwing it just right above where this kid can reach. This kid's just, he's not getting frustrated or anything. He's just like, oh, next time I know I'm going to get it. I know I'm going to get that ball. So why aren't there enough? I know this is going to sound risque, but there needs to be more young boys playing with the balls. You know what I mean? Yeah, I made myself feel disgusting for saying that. It surprised me. It's like how, because even I was fascinated by it. It's mesmerizing to young men, I suppose, to men in general. Anyway, somebody talked to me. We're gonna do another How to Man Up segment here. So somebody was talking to me, say, hey, madman, you know what you need to do? You need to do a How to Man Up segment. Grown men shouldn't wear T-shirts. And I have to say, you shouldn't wear a backpack. If you're a grown man, you shouldn't wear a backpack. You shouldn't wear printed tees. You shouldn't wear your baseball cap backwards. You shouldn't wear Converse. You can't wear white after Labor Day or something like that. All right. But my point is like, no. And when I first started thinking about doing this How to Man Up thing, I thought about this particular Rick and Morty comic book where there's an interaction between Rick and Morty. And, so there's Rick. They were doing something else. He was scamming somebody. So Rick is saying, they can leave anytime they want, Morty. I didn't create the concept of supply and demand, okay? I merely abused it with very little regard for basic human decency. Classic Rick. And I'm sorry for what I said about your suitcase. And the more I think about it, the more I wonder whether they ever went out of style to begin with. And Morty, I got to back up a little bit. So Morty has been carrying this briefcase around because he wants to seem like more of a grown-up, And Rick's response to this of him carrying the suitcase, because now Morty's leaving him. He's going on his own way. And Rick doesn't, I'm going to have to go after him sooner or later. So what does Rick say in response? Grown men shouldn't wear backpacks, Morty. Grown men shouldn't wear backpacks. Stupid Rick. And you're right. It's a stupid concept to try to get me to say that men shouldn't, wear printed T-shirts. You shouldn't try to say that men shouldn't wear white after Labor Day. All right. You shouldn't have to say, you can't wear jeans after 25 years old. That kind of stuff is fashion. Fashion is for women. All right. It's not for men. All right. Clothing is utilitarian for men. All right. If you're going to be working in the lab, a lab coat is great. A lab coat is great. You know why? Because it has pockets to put stuff in when you're in the lab. If you're working out in the fields, overalls are great. Denim is great for working in. Protects your legs if you're mowing the lawn, stuff flying around, bugs trying to bite you. All right. You're not
on a podcast where you're only filmed from the waist up. Pants are optional.
Yeah, and pants are optional. You don't know if I'm wearing pants. I'm going to tell you right now that I am because Eric's in the room. Otherwise, they'd be off because it is kind of getting warm in here. So, fashion is for women. Men are utilitarian about their clothing. Now, I'm not going to say that men should not have should never wear formal clothing. Men should have formal clothing for formal events. You should have formal clothing for church, for a professional setting. If you're not doing like blue collar work, because like blue collar work, you need more like literal clothing to protect you from the toilets you're plunging and so forth. Overalls, coveralls, and all that. Working in the garage or whatever. But if you're working in an office setting, you probably shouldn't be wearing printed T-shirts to an office job. That it looks unprofessional. All right, and that's where How to Man Up actually gets into the world of fashion. But generally, the function is like you don't want something distracting anybody from what you're saying or what the objective is of the company and so forth like that. You can't be sitting there giving a meeting talking about, as like in the fourth quarter, we're probably going to be losing over $300,000 in sales alone, and some guy sitting there with a kitten on a T-shirt saying, "Hang in there." That's unprofessional. And so men must understand that there are times where you need formal and semi-formal clothing, in order to move throughout this world. You should know how to, tie a tie because people get married. You need to go to funerals. And there's weddings, there's funerals and stuff like that. So there needs to be times where you need to understand is like this is inappropriate. This Rick and Morty T-shirt that I have is inappropriate to wear to the funeral. You got to understand that as a man, but it's not necessarily fashion. You can look at another man's suit and say, I kind of like that suit. All right. And I think like once every 5 years, it's been a while since I read the newsletter. I keep getting it, but I don't read it because I figured out how to be a man on my own. I think it's every 5 years you're allowed to ask one other man where he got his suit from because you like his suit. All right. And so that way you can find a suit that you like and you look good in and so forth. And so you can, it's like, oh, this is what I'm going to want to be my formal wear, my one outfit of formal wear that every man needs. So, men should know how to dress, but they dress based upon the situation, not necessarily upon any kind of social or fashion, consensus and stuff like that. Anyway, I guess, I don't know. In the 60s and 70s, like bell bottoms became popular, and then, every guy's buying jeans, bell bottoms. But one could be argued that like they were ubiquitous. Like it was hard to find pants that were not bell bottoms back in the 60s and 70s. And so I think in many ways you're excused in that regard. I also kind of miss how like in the 70s men had like bushier hair. You get all these pictures of these baseball players in the 70s. They got this cap and all this hair sticking out around the sides. And they all got mustaches and beards. It was great. I kind of miss those times. But I do understand the practicality of having shorter hair. So, that's all I want to talk about that. We're going to talk about one more thing before we get into the news. Let me wet my whistle here. Did you hear about this stuff about Queen's Fat Bottom Girls being banned, been canceled?
What?
Have you not?
Positive song.
Have you not heard this?
No.
You have not heard this news?
No.
Oh, anyway, so a musical app that gives music to kids, like 3 to 8 years old, kids. They said, we're not going to put Fat Bottom Girls on this playlist, Queen's Fat Bottom Girls on this playlist. And so a bunch of news stories got ran. It was like, oh, Queen Fat Bottom Girls being canceled because people are too body positive or something. No. It's a very grown-up song, and sometimes there's very grown-up songs. I would, on this playlist given to kids, I would not want 9 Inch Nails Closer on it. You know what I mean? I would not want Fat Bottom Girls on it. After all, Fat Bottom Girls, if you listen to the lyrics about it, it's a story about a guy who was molested by a nanny when he was a kid, and now it's his kink. And I'll explain with the lyrics. The very opening lyrics is, I was just a skinny lad, never knew no good from bad. I knew life before I left my nursery. Left alone with big fat Fanny, she was such a naughty nanny. Heap big woman, made a bad boy out of me. All right. And then there's another verse that says, I got mortgages and homes. I got stiffness in the bones. No beauty queens in this locality. I still get my pleasure. Still got my greatest treasure. Heap big woman, you made a fat boy out of me, or something like that. And the story is that I was molested as a kid. Now it's my kink. Do you understand what this song is about now? I do not want my 11-year-old niece listening to this song, much less kids who are 3 to 5 years old. All right? This is why, when you start allowing like a government, or you start allowing a company or any kind of citizen group or anything like that to try to censor music for your own family, you'll have problems. There'll be differences of opinion, Fat Bottom Girls is an adult song, all right? And the only question I have to ask is, who bad touched you, Farouk Bulsara? Because that's probably Freddie's story. He was bad touched by some, probably guy, maybe a girl too, and that kind of like turned him on sexually at a young age. And now it's his kink, And that's kind of the point of the song. There's another song by Queen off the 1977, see, I could talk about Queen all day, seriously. Off the 1977 News of the World album called Get Down, Make Love. I hope that 3-year-olds aren't being given that music, because there's lines in that says like, you suck my mind, I blow your head, make love inside your bed. Everybody get down, make love. I'm not going to deny it's a good song, and I rock out to it, but it has adult themes in the lyrics. All right, there are plenty of Queen songs that are like very PG and less in terms of like how, it's just, frilly language about love and so forth. And I mean, I can even like critique like the writing of different Queen members. I think up until like 1986, 87, 86, up until then, like the individual writer of the song would get the rights. Like, for example, John Deacon wrote Another One Bites the Dust. So I guess he got the royalties, and so about 1986 or so, Queen, every song was written by Queen as a big group, so they could, I guess, share the royalties. Anyway, so the point is that, if I could critique the writing of the different members of Queen, I find Freddie Mercury's writing to vacillate in between pretentious and hedonistic, And generally, I don't like his stuff, but then again, he didn't really like his stuff either. He considered the stuff he writes to be disposable pop. And it's just a kind of hedonistic, thing he might say. Roger Taylor's songs and Brian May's songs especially had a lot of depth to them. They wrote a bunch of good stuff. But generally, there's also like gibberish songs. There's one called Mustafa off the Jazz album, which is this photo comes from. I got to talk about the Jazz album at length. There's the first track on the Jazz album was called Mustafa Ibrahim, Allah, 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 we'll pray for you. It was like a kind of Eastern, Middle Eastern music kind of themed. But if you listen to the lyrics, it's ridiculous. Mustafa Ibrahim, Allah will pray for you. That doesn't make any sense, Freddie. What are you doing? So there's also a song on the 1991 album, or is it 91 album, Headlong. Headlong, 91. All right. Now you got soup in the laundry bag. Now you got strings. You got to lose your rag. It ain't so groovy. It ain't so groovy when you're getting in a fight. You're screaming in the night. Let me out of this cheap B movie. It's gibberish, and they made a song out of it, and I like it. And that's okay. But you got to understand that there's a difference in each individual case. Each individual comic book, is not the same. People are putting the Comics Code Authority on Archie Comics in the 60s. And you're like, why? Archie Comics in the 60s is the idealistic white picket fence, white culture at its peak. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you got to, evaluate each piece of art individually. All right? Like every single one of my shows. It's each its own individual piece of art. All right? And what's interesting about this Jazz album, this particular picture, if you notice that the panties look a little weird in the bra, the string around the bra part looks a little weird. It looks out of place, like it's not really there. Yeah, this is like one of the very first Photoshop things that came out on a Queen album. This is actually for a single, Fat Bottom Girls. And so this picture was taken from a promotional thing Queen did one day for the jazz album, where it's in the liner notes of the album. If you open up the album of Queen's jazz album, there's a big spread of like 200 girls on naked girls on bicycles. It's beautiful. You know what I mean? But in this photo was taken from that photo shoot where they had this private event inside a stadium where these naked girls rode around the track it was to promote bicycle race and fat bottom girls as a double single. All right. Gotta let a bunch of guys come in and poking their noses around. You know what I mean? They felt like their odds were good. Bunch of fat bottom girls having a bicycle race. It was kind of a brilliant marketing strategy. All right, but let's be honest. You know, this was taken from a naked girl on a bike, and they added the panties and they added the bra so that they can get away with it in America. You know, and Queen had been getting censored and stuff quite a bit, especially during this time. Like the Hot Space album. A lot of homosexual undertones in that one, you know. Homosexual undertones, I should say, yeah. And I think the Body Language video was banned. MTV wasn't allowed to play it or couldn't play it because there was male-on-male sexualized content, you know, contact or something like that. But I always find that interesting. It's like I forgot that story was in my head. As I look at that girl's ass, I remember, oh yeah. Queen did some crazy adult stuff, you know. Yeah, there are songs that younger audiences can like and appreciate and be introduced to, but you know, stories about being molested by a nanny, you know, you can hold off on that one for a few years, right? You know, there's songs I don't want my niece to hear, you know. It's like it's going to be quite a while before I introduce her to the harder stuff. Like Rick Astley. All right, let's get into the news worth knowing. Sure. Usually I get sick of images on the screen. It's like I'm tired of looking at that. No. I don't know. It's like, what a beautiful thing. The badow. The bat donk. Anyway. Let's get into the bad news first. Biden has repeatedly told this exaggerated house fire story to victims of the tragedy. So as you may or may not know. That's me. Every time I get out of the shower.
Where's that coming from? I can figure out where the noise is
coming from. Please become a patron. I need a new laptop. Yeah, so as you know, President Biden has gone out to Maui because of the wildfire, the fires. I don't know how wild they were. And he's been, you know, he comes like 10 days late. People of Maui are flipping him off as his motorcade's coming through, and it's not good. So, but he told a story there. So I'll go into this news story from Fox News. So President Biden's retelling of a 15-year-old story about a minor fire in his Delaware home is facing renewed backlash after he told victims of the deadly Hawaii wildfires Monday that he had little sense of what they were going through. While visiting the fire-ravaged remains of Maui, Biden recalled the fire that started in his Wilmington home due to lightning. Quote, I don't want to compare difficulties. I think he prefaced this correctly. In all fairness to Mr. Biden. I don't want to compare difficulties, but we have a little sense, Jill and I, what it's like to lose a home. Well, years ago, now 15 years, I was in Washington doing Meet the Press. Lightning struck our home at a little lake outside our home. Not a lake, a big pond. It hit the wire and came up underneath our home and into the air conditioning ducts. To make a long story short, I almost lost my wife, 67 Corvette, and my cat. Now, when he says that, what he means is like, oh, if the current had gone this way instead of that, it could have blown up this thing and started a fire. You could have lost everything, even your Corvette and your cat. These people lost children. Anyway. Biden has recalled the story multiple times in recent years in apparent attempts to connect with people's victims of natural disasters. 2004 report from the Associated Press, archived by LexisNexis, said lightning struck the Biden's home and started a small fire that was contained to the kitchen. The report said firefighters got the blaze under control in 20 minutes. They were able to keep the flames from spreading beyond the kitchen. Republican National Committee posted videos Tuesday showing Biden telling multiple variations of the story. In October last year, Biden told Hurricane Ian victims that Florida has that he lost an awful lot of his home due to the fire. In January 2022, Biden told Colorado wildfire victims that he almost lost his home in the fire, and that fire destroyed about 25% of it. Is your kitchen 25% of your house? When speaking, does that include the dining room, bathroom? Maybe, I don't know. Or like 25% of your house smelled like smoke for a few months afterwards. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that this guy's out of touch. You know, he keeps comparing himself. Like every time like somebody dies, he compares it to his son who died of cancer, but he keeps presenting it as if he died in war. You know, Biden's an awful person. I think people in Maui are really starting to understand that, and hopefully they're starting to understand like the big mistakes of having all Democrat leaders. You know, no sirens warnings for those people. There's some sort of issue getting water to fight the fires on an island. You know, salt water can put out flames, you know, because the objective is to cool the fire. Salt water could put out flames. When I was in the Navy, I think that's exclusively what we fought fires with, was salt water. So it just irritates me when stuff like that happens. So hopefully people learn their lesson. Unfortunately, all these people died. Was it over 100 people are dead? 1,000 or so missing? A lot of them children? This is awful. This is terrible. They're asking people to give DNA samples so that they could find the horrifically burned remains of people in Maui. Ugh. I do not envy those people's jobs over the next coming months, you know? And hopefully, you know, the American people, especially the people in Hawaii, in that one state, could see is like, hey, you know, all these Democrats seem to be dropping the ball. No, it just gets me angry. Gets me so angry. Let's chill out. Let's go talk about the GOP debate that's going to happen tonight, which I'm not going to watch. I'll tell you why. Because Ben Shapiro exists. He'll watch it, tell me everything I need to know about it in less than an hour. I guarantee it. It's like the next day, Ben Shapiro show, I'll just like, okay, that's all I need to know about it. And of course, like everyone else I watch, you know, we'll be talking about it. So this is happening in Milwaukee tonight, around 9 p.m. I think. So there's eight candidates that qualified for the Republican primary at Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the evening of August 23rd. First debate will air at 9 p.m. Eastern till 11 p.m. Fox News Channel Brett Baer and Martha McCallum, hosts, will moderate the debate. I wonder why they put two people. I wonder if it's like so they can like perhaps overpower, outshout the people on stage. I don't know. Or maybe it's like you can interact with two people like in their earpieces. It's like, okay, you're next. And you want you to talk about this. You're next, and you deal with that. I don't know. Maybe. So the RNC requirements to qualify include their polling numbers, the pledging, and the fundraising criteria. So Florida Governor DeSantis and biotech entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy will stay on center stage during the primary debate. All right, let's look at the headlines involved with this. Brett Baer speaks with Wisconsin voters. Oh, okay. So he did like a man on the street thing talking about him. That's okay. They sent the Fox had to send him out there. So it was like, well, we can't have it just sitting around during the middle of the day, getting drunk. Okay. Maybe 3 presidential debates. Tune in to Fox Nation for live coverage. That's an ad. Holy cow. Of course, everyone knows Trump is not going to be there. It's like Tim Pool said, if you're leading, going and doing the debate will only end up making you neutral, won't necessarily make people like you more. And I think the people who are going to vote for Trump are likely to vote for Trump no matter what happens, even who goes on the debate stage or not. I think Ramaswamy and Ron DeSantis are going to be the only real people of note. You know, Chris Christie, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott, not yet. people. I don't think Nikki Haley's got what it takes. Same with Chris Christie. I think Chris Christie's probably a Washington insider. I don't know. I just don't trust that guy. You know, it's like that scene in what's that, Anger Management with Adam Sandler and Jack Nicholson. It's like, I mean, what'd you say about Buddha? It's like, oh, he said, how do you put it? It's like, how does a man that's over 300 pounds have the balls to tell people about self-control? Anyway, that's so we'll keep our eyes out for the Republican debates coming up tonight. All right, I don't know how much bearing it's going to have, but I do think that, you know, people should debate. I think that Trump should go there. I do think that Biden should debate people. I think that should happen. Anyway, let's go on to the next story. Hospital exec says white race should be made to feel uncomfortable about its whiteness. All right, we'll go quickly through the story because I'm just going to get angry. Maine hospital executive involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion, DIE, die. That's how you die. That's how you kill a nation. Hosted an anti-racist prayer service that had a group of white people apologize for their internalized racism as white people, according to a video reviewed by Fox News Digital. Ryan Polly is the vice president of DIE at Maine Health, a hospital system of over 20,000 employees. He has said that hospitals cater overwhelmingly white patients, which is reflected by local demographics. Why aren't more minorities need health problems? Because there's more white people, jackass. Okay, so Polly refers to himself as a minister of a group called One Spirit. According to the video reviewed by Fox News Digital, which has since been scrubbed, Polly is shown teaching attendees how to be practitioners of anti-racism through a prayer that he dedicated to the loving spirits who are known by many names. DIE leader's ideology is steeped in critical race theory. He said that during the prayer services that he himself maintains racist narratives and biases and attributed those to his skin color. What the hell is wrong with this man? Masochistic? Of his own race? Ethno-masochistic? Perhaps? Why? And so if you think so little of yourself because of your skin color, why don't you just shut up then? How about that? Because apparently you have racist narratives and biases. And I think those racist narratives and biases is your racism against your own race. Anyway, I'm moving on. All right, let's talk about some more racism, maybe? So Florida school isolates black students at assembly, reportedly offered gift cards to improve scores. So a Flagler County, Florida elementary school singled out numerous black students and forced them to attend an assembly on improving their standardized test scores, as confirmed by the district's interim superintendent. All right, I'm going to read the whole article before I comment on it. Fox 35 in Orlando reported that last Friday, students in grades 4 and 5 were taken out of class to attend an assembly in the Bunnell elementary school cafeteria, as learned by several parents. The students who performed well on the standardized test were reportedly brought to the front of the assembly and used as model examples as teachers discussed the test scores and offered gift cards to restaurants as rewards for improving their scores. The news station received confirmation from Cheryl Massaro, the Flagler County School Board's chair, that black students were, quote, isolated for the assembly. She told the station that assembly should never have happened, though it did. Interim Superintendent Lakeisha Moore issued a statement on the district's website without the assembly, saying that she sat down with Bunnell Elementary. Principal Donnell Evanson after the assembly and discussed that it led to a presentation to what the steps were or were not taken before and after. In speaking with Ms. Evanson, it was clear that no malice was intended in planning the student outreach. However, sometimes when you try to think outside the box, you forget why the box is there. What are you talking about? Moore said, while the desire to help a particular subgroup of students is to be commended, how this was done does not meet the expectations we desire among Flagler schools. All right, we got the whole picture now. All right. The person who did this racist thing was somebody who was trying to be anti-racist. What happened was some liberal teacher said, you know what? We should get all the black kids together, since all black kids have lower grades. We get them together in the cafeteria, and we pick like the best, the smartest, the best grades of like each grade, and we bring them up and we talk about them and have them talk to the other kids about how they study and stuff like that. And we get a bunch of like gift cards, like $10 restaurant gift cards for McDonald's or something like that. And say, you get an A on a test, we'll give you a gift card, But then the kids go home and the kids say, it's like the parents ask about, what'd you do today at school? What'd you do today? It's like, oh, they pulled all the black kids out of class and sent us to the cafeteria and asked us to get better grades. They pulled all the black kids out of class. And so a bunch of parents calling up is like, what's going on up there? And so some administrator had to go to the teacher and say, explain to me what your thought process was with this. It was like, well, I think that black kids probably have lower grades than everybody else. So I said, we'll pull the black kids out of class, segregate them.
Oh my God.
EK's just now coming in on the story. And we'll tell them to get better grades and offer them gift cards. It's like you're trying to be anti-racist, but you just end up in being racist. And just like that last story, it's like there's no such thing as anti-racism. It's just more racism. All right. So anyway, people need to get it together. If they pulled like all the lowest, the like lowest like 30% of scores, that regardless of race, this is like what should happen in a meritocracy. Remember that? All right. You take the lowest 30% scores and you bring them to the auditorium, cafeteria, whatever, and you get like the highest 5% scores, and you get them to come in there and like talk about how the study habits and how they do their homework and stuff like that. And still offer those lowest scoring students, an opportunity to win gift cards based upon their grades. All right. But if you just say based upon an immutable characteristic, you're so anti-racist, you went into racism. It's all racism, though. Anyway, let's talk about Wolverine in New York. I can imagine a reality. And two lighter subjects before we get out of here. Could you imagine if, like, really a Wolverine in New York? It'd be nightmarish right now. There'd be blood everywhere. So, New York City Wolverine convicted of attempted murder after threatening BLM protesters with a bladed glove. I guess this kind of fits with the racism theme. Frank Cavalluzzi, 57, of New York City, has been convinced, that's a Wolverine in its prime, right? Has been convicted on 9 attempted murder counts over a bizarre, heated 2020 confrontation with Black Lives Matter protesters. Cavalluzzi reportedly emerged from his SUV wearing a leather glove that brandished 4 serrated blades and waved it at demonstrators before re-entering his vehicle and attempting to run them over. Dangerous man is going to jail. News release from the Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz said, "It's a good day for New York and the First Amendment." Look, I don't like BLM either, but I'm not going to take out my Wolverine glove out of my glove compartment that I spent years building, just to flash it at some protesters. You got to save that for an emergency. If people around town get wind that you have a Wolverine glove, everyone's going to want it.
That's your reason.
That's my reason. EK's laughing at me. It's like, no, you play that close to the vest. You know what I mean? You keep that ace in your pocket. And I thought that was funny because, of course there's people out there that do shit like that. Some guy in his basement in New York, some Italian guy probably, I'm going to make it a perfect Wolverine glove. I'm an Italian Wolverine. I'm sorry, I was just talking crap about racism. And then I did that. Anyway, let's talk about a little bit of Bridezilla moment. Oh, or I should call this, how to man up, never agree to be part of a wedding party. All right? I want you to be my best man. Nope. Will you want to be one of my best groomsmen? Nope. So this is a Reddit thing. going on. Cheap Bridezilla. Exasperated woman reveals she's reached her limit on a friend's fall wedding. So an exasperated individual took to the wedding-shaming Reddit community to disclose her story of an upcoming wedding that she may or may not be taking part of in this fall as a close friend prepares to get married. I'm bridesmaid to her close friend of mine, the woman said. She is definitely a good person, but I am now seeing a whole different side of her. She titled her post, Cheap Bridezilla, I regret agreeing to be in this wedding. By way of context, the bridesmaid also wrote, she definitely put pressure on her fiance to propose when he was still getting his bachelor's degree. It got close to ultimatum level, but he did once he graduated. She added as well, bride is religious, and she's doing things somewhat traditional and is waiting to live together until they are married. Her parents are wealthy as well, which is also ticking me off for this wedding, wrote the friend. Had I known I was expected to pay for this much, she went on in the public forum, I would have declined being a bridesmaid. However, the bride was not transparent about the costs. She said the bachelorette weekend alone cost $1,000. I accepted that as we are an expensive state. She did not say which state she was in. However, added the woman, we also had to pay for the catering for her bridal shower as well as a gift for her. Oh, Lord. As for the wedding day itself, the woman went on, the bride, quote, dropped the bomb today that she wants professional makeup artists and hairstylists to do our makeup on the day of the wedding. That will cost $300 total, wrote the friend. She says, I'm at my limit for spending. And she said, if I do my own makeup, I'll have to practice and send in a picture for approval. The hairstyle she wants us all to have will not work on my hair, added the friend, as it's too short. The friend continued, I sent her a pic of how my hair isn't long enough. to go with my face framing. She asked if I could do a low bun with pieces down in the front. She said the bride-to-be replied, I will see if anyone else is okay with that because it will throw off the uniform look. Add the woman on Reddit, we are not even wearing the same dress. Oh, and what else, the woman said? No plus ones, and it's BYOB. That's deal breaker right there. She said the woman and others on social media, had I known I was going to be she was going to be a mild bridezilla. Women, always nerfing it. I would have politely declined and happily attended as a guest. You know how a guy would say that? I would have told him to fuck off. Get bent. I'm not paying to go to your wedding. Anyway, in a later edit, the woman added, thanks for all the support, everyone. Holy upvotes. I'm glad other people see my thinking on this and might right me to be frustrated. She also noted, if I have to pay for the professional makeup and hair instead of doing my own makeup, I will be dropping out. When all is said and done, the total I'll be spending on this wedding is $2,000. The post at the time of publication, blah, 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 lots of reactions. And they asked a psychologist for input. Why they do that? I guess to, I don't know, give legitimacy to themselves. But anyone could read that story and have an opinion on it. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be a psychologist to understand that this person is way out over their skis in what she's expecting of people. I really do hate this idea of this main character syndrome that is, especially women get these days, especially when it comes to something like their graduation or their wedding and stuff like that. Is they really think that it's all got to be perfect. Perfect. It's got to be perfect. You ever seen that movie Love Stinks? French Stewart and that chick, and she's like, we're gonna have a wedding, we're gonna have the white horse-drawn carriage, we're gonna have perfect cake, and everything's gonna be perfect. You know, you can see that insanity. That's that thing that they've been building up their entire lives. My wedding, this perfect day, and I'm gonna manipulate all reality to fit into my twisted adolescent fantasies about my wedding day. All right. But when you start asking your friends to pay, it's one bachelorette party is one thing. All right, I get it. All right.
Destination wedding is also.
Yeah, destination wedding is also. That's a tough call. That's rich people problems.
If you're in the bridal party, if you agree to be a groomsman or a bride, and you know in advance that it's a destination wedding, you should accept that responsibility of, you're in the bridal party.
I don't know. That's rich people problems.
Yeah, well.
That's rich people problems. It's like if you asked me today, let's go to Ireland so I can get married, I couldn't do it unless you're paying. See what I mean?
But that's a discussion. That's a discussion
that's what I mean.
Between friends at the beginning.
Right. That should happen.
I want you to be part of this. I understand that you can't afford it. So, of course,
Right.
I would help you, or I would facilitate that.
Exactly. So this person isn't a friend.
I wouldn't go to the internet and say, listen to my basic ass buddy. I asked him to be in my wedding. He said, I can't fucking afford to be in your wedding. Like, I'm not going to go to the internet and rat you out.
Fair enough. That's why I don't like Reddit. There's a lot of ratting. There's a lot of ratting people out. I know people try to be anonymous about it, but people find out. People find out. Anyway, this is going to be the end of the show. And remind you again, go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. You can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. You can follow me over on social media. You'll find it over there in the corner. I would appreciate that. I also have books available for digital download. Check the links, I guess. I see I lost some files too, so I got to update the links in the description. So hopefully I can get that before next week. Anyway, this has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.